WHLI. I'm doing radio since 1974, and I have waited for this moment all the way since 1974. I was nervous as a cat in a tree waiting to be rescued here. I don't believe that I am right across from Linda Eder. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
I don't believe I'm here either.
Yeah. We've talked numerous times. I've interviewed you on the telephone for this radio station. This is the first time in person, and I'm very, very excited. And first of all, congratulations on one heck of an album, eh?
Well, thank you. It's quite something to see it finally come out. It's a process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've waited a long, long time for The Other Side of Me. It's on Verve Records. It's available as of a couple of weeks ago all over. And if you haven't received a copy yet, make sure you go get a copy. We're going to be giving away a copy of The Other Side of Me very soon. If you hear the Lucky Buck alert, the 11th caller with a Lucky Buck, and you know that's a dollar bill with 2 zeros and 2 ones, will win a copy personally autographed by Linda herself. So now, if you will be so kind, my dear, to take us back to the origins. How did The Other Side of Me, how did it become born? Whose idea, when, and tell us about this.
Well, I've made several records. I've been doing this for a while, and most of them have been standard-esque Broadway types of records. I did a few things that were a little more popish. My very first record was an exploration of pop, but not really anything in my control. And it was time to make the next record, and I just didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something different. I went back to the beginning, really. I went back to the raw Linda, the unaffected by outside influences, by other people, by Broadway, by any of that. When I was a teenager, I had my own little guitar, and I sang and I wrote, and everything seemed to be sort of that country pop vein, and that's actually very much who I am. It's the way I live. I'm an outdoorsy kind of girl. It's just the kind of music that I do naturally. So I asked my label at the time was EMI that I was with, and they agreed to let me do it. I was shocked in a way, but happy, and spent about a year making it.
Right. What's the first process? Selecting songs, looking for tunes?
Finding the songs, yeah. Absolutely.
That tedious?
I had been, no, not really. I mean, it came together over the course of that time, you know. I had been given a song by Evan Lambert from EMI Publishing called Lifted, which actually has become the first single, but I'd had that song for a few years, really under my belt, and looking for a way to do it. I had put it into my normal show, which was the standards, but it never really found the right arranger. We tried to fit it in that format. It never really worked right. People liked the song, but the arrangement wasn't right.
Right.
And when it came to making this record, I really hit on the country pop theme, and then all of a sudden that song found its home. And that along with another song that you just played, Pieces.
Yeah,
when I got a hold of that one from a young songwriter named Sean Barker, that really set the whole idea in motion to do a way to go with the country pop.
We'll talk about Sean too, because he's part of the band when you do this show, right? Yeah. So I've seen it once. I plan to see it again. It's quite a show, and you actually play the guitar. It's so cool to see.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. I don't play that well. So if I have a really great guitarist on the record, Duke Levine, and when he's with us live, I tend not to play because I'm so intimidated by him.
It's just fun to see you up there strumming away.
It is. It's great. It's great. And that's actually the good thing too. Is I've never played guitar well, but I always played enough to write my own stuff.
Right.
And that's how I write the songs. So I've really enjoyed doing that.
Lifted did it for you, huh?
Yeah, I remember the very first time I ever heard that song in Ian's office, or Evan's office, and I cried. You know, he played me a couple, and they both really got to me.
Yep.
I like the song because it can be a lot of things. It can be a love song, or it can be a spiritual song. It can really pertain to anything. So, and I love the gospel-y feel on the end of it.
Definitely. Now, you having fun doing the show, The Other Side of Me show? Because you're very busy. You're doing 4 different shows, right?
Yeah, well, actually, yes. I mean, in reality, I'm doing 2 people because the other shows are still standards and Broadway types of material, just done with either my own band or with an orchestra, or with Michael and I do a show which is a little bit older, but it's still the standards, you know. So, but this stuff is very much country pop. So I'm kind of saying these days I'm the real Hannah Montana because I'm not just changing my outfits. I'm actually doing 2 different kinds of music, but I love it because I get very bored if I do one thing for too long, and that's sort of what had been happening to me. I've been singing that stuff for over 20 years, and I felt a little of my energy in life going out of it.
Mhm.
and that's not a good thing.
No.
And having done this kind of music, I feel like I've grown more in the last 2 years musically than I've grown in the last 10.
Right.
And it's just infused new life into everything I'm doing. I'm enjoying all my shows much more because I'm growing.
And it's also blowing the mind of our afternoon man, Joe Sada, who's on from 12 to 5 every day here at WHLI, because for many years we've been playing all the Linda Eder tracks from the previous albums. So I told him something new was coming down. He had no idea. When we first started playing it, you had to see the expression of the deer in the headlights type of look. And you got to hear him talk about the album. Because, oh, is this album ever aptly named The Other Side of Me? This is a very different side of it. And surprisingly good. If anybody could pull it off, Linda Eder, what? I said, Joe, if you keep talking, there'll be no time to play a track. Play a track. For crying out loud.
I think if people know me as a person,
Yeah.
then they know this is me. People who have only ever known me all these years on stage, they see the lady that puts the gown on and does these standardized Broadway shows, but it really is very much Linda playing a role.
Yeah.
Because that's not who I am naturally. That's me channeling Judy and Barbara and all the people that I watched.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned how to become an entertaining entertainer
Right.
doing that, but it isn't me, and never has been me.
But-
And there's always been sort of the plain country girl with the tennis shoes under the dress sort of philosophy thing that sort of slips out, which isn't always what people who come for those type of shows always want to see. Some
Right.
people love it. Some people want to have a diva, but I like the fact that I'm finally able to be really honestly who I am.
But even on those standards and Broadway shows, sometimes you're loose enough to say, you know what, these heels are bothering me. I've seen you kick them off, and then go.
Oh, I do all the time.
Exactly.
That's part of the problem. I mean, and maybe that's part of the appeal. And I know. I think the fans that I have
Oh, sure, they
is
know
because of
exactly.
that. They like that side
Oh,
of me. But now
sure.
I feel like I've got music that is me.
Mhm.
You know, the thing with standards is you're singing in a vernacular and you're singing phrases and styles that aren't current to today. It's not the
Mhm.
way we speak.
Right.
So it is always a little bit like role playing.
Mm-hmm.
Where popular music that's written current and today is more how we would be today.
I agree wholeheartedly. Tell us a little bit about this next track we're going to hear, if you believe.
This is a song by Robin Lerner and a man named Ken Hirsch, who wrote a beautiful song on the record called If I Could, which I've always loved.
Ah.
He also wrote this song with a friend of mine, Robin Lerner. They're doing a musical of An Officer and a Gentleman, which they're trying to get to Broadway, and my business my music lawyer is friends with them and had told me about this particular song and sent it along to us, and we loved it.
Yeah.
I should mention, I'm doing this record with, I did it with Billy Stein. He's my co-producer. He used to play in my band with me on keyboards, but he went off to do his own recording and has a studio. So we got back together on this, and he co-produced it with me. But we got the song, fell in love with it. It wasn't complete in its format because it was written for a musical, so it had a perfect country pop verse, chorus, and then it sort of went off into more theatrical. But we asked for another verse, and we formatted it in this way, and I love it. I think
We all do. Just before hearing it, though, I got to give Billy his props because he did a heck of a job on
he
this.
did.
Wow.
He really did. And
He's got the hard work and
he
the
worked
talent,
so
the sheer
hard.
talent he has.
I know. He's a trained,
Yeah.
classically trained pianist, and we had the thing that's amazing is we had so much fun, and we didn't argue. I mean, we really co-produced it together. It's a really sharing of ideas. Each one respected the other's ideas.
Mhm.
We never had an argument.
What fun is that?
Well, we argued with some other people, but
Right,
never
there
with
you
each
go.
other.
Yeah.
It was a really true, good collaboration.